Can I tell you about my latest obsession? I cannot get enough of this pumpkin picking candle from Wisco Home Goods. The second I light it, I'm transported to all the things I love about fall. Crisp apple in the air, warm spices, a hint of hayride magic. It's like I'm walking through my favorite orchard, sipping cider, or rustling through a pumpkin patch. It's fall in a jar. And the best part, it's clean burning soy made right here in Madison. Seriously, if autumn had a scent, this is it. Get yours today. You can grab one in-store on Madison's East Side or online at wiscohomegoods.com. You're going to the Wisconsin Book Festival's fall celebration, right? It's our state's premier literary event of the year, and it's less than 2 weeks away. It's October 23rd through the 26th, so get planning and get reading, and we'll see you there. It's a public opportunity with more than 55 events where you can connect with authors and fellow book lovers at Madison Central Library and other downtown venues. It's accessible to everyone, and yes, there are even sometimes free book giveaways with signed copies available from renowned authors. Don't forget, the festival also hosts author programming all year round. So what are you waiting for? Go find the complete schedule at wisconsinbookfestival.org. This is CityCast Madison. I'm Bianca Martin, and here's what Madison's talking about. Today, more and more people are moving to Dane County, and that includes more Latino folks calling Madison home. So how do we honor and support Madison's diverse Latino communities? Joining me to talk about it all and the support systems in place is Centro Hispano Dane County Executive Director, Dr. Karen Menendez-Collar. Karen, welcome to CityCast Madison.
Nice to meet you, Bianca. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, so I just want to start out with, how are you? How have you been? It's no secret that we're dealing with some heavy times.
We sure are. And I think in some ways, I feel like I'm still in shock about where we are. So that shields me a little bit. But certainly we're just knee deep in the work and trying to be there to support our community. So there's not as much time for thinking or processing as I would hope I would have, but I think it also is kind of like a blessing in disguise.
Yeah, and we're here to hear about your work and intentionally want to start out with the good and the positive and the joy, because that's an act of resistance in and of itself. So, Centro was founded 40 years ago, plus to support Cuban refugees coming to Dane County. Obviously, supporting immigrant communities is still a huge part of what you do. And for folks who are unfamiliar, can you kind of dig into even further, like what is the mission of Centro today?
Centro is my home. We've been around, for more than 40 years, founded by Hilda Thomas, who was our founding executive director. She was a social worker at heart. The story goes that at that time, she really was connected with the recent arriving families that were coming as refugees. If they needed food, she was there. If they needed someone to go with them to the hospital, she was there. There was very much that sense of being there for community as much as possible. Over the years, we've honed our work to include significant amount of time focusing on young people, their leadership, their sense of dreams, of hopes, of aspiration, how they process things, their social emotional skills, because we know that they're the future while we continue to do the work that Hilda started so many years ago around basic needs, immigration, family wraparound support. So by and large, we're one of a handful of organizations, the largest one in Dane County that's bilingual, bicultural, and taking care of the Latinx community. So they have a place to seek resources, but also still that refuge that Hilda started such a long time ago that respects their needs and also sees their assets and their potential to keep dreaming.
Being a part of the Black community, I can say I know about it's true for Black communities as well as Latino communities. We're not a monolith, right? There's a great diversity, just as with any other group, ethnically, generationally, when it comes to sexual orientation, needs, ideals, all of the things. So y'all have a wide range of services and programs, like you said. How do you work to reflect that diversity and supports that fit a wider group?
I'm pretty proud because I would say about 95% of our team since my time here at Centro has been part of the community that we started out walking alongside, serving. Many were young people in our youth programs here at Centro. Some were volunteers that had recently arrived to the area and sought resources but wanted to give back. So we try to really keep a pulse on the community that is here in need of this organization and engaging them in different ways, whether it be through coming on board as staff as part of Centro, watching different members of our team grow and develop in their positions within the organization is one of my greatest joys. I really thrive when that happens. Or volunteers, or, making sure that people are coming to the Thursday market that we have at Centro every Thursday for 10 plus years. Now we see about 500 people coming, and we listen to their stories. We ask if they want to participate in the things that we do here, and we take a very organic approach to make sure we keep our ear to the ground in what the needs are of the families.
And it certainly is like folks coming maybe for some support, and then they're like, I want to join up. That's certainly a good sign.
Yes, it's incredible how much that happens. And people are really craving a place where they feel safe and where they feel seen. And once they're in our new space in South Madison, I think they realize that that's the kind of space that we have, and they want to stay. So I think that's really proof of the right kind of impact that we want to have and that we're doing things the right way.
Yeah, you have this incredible new location on Cypress Way that you opened last spring that just is gorgeous. So even more, props to the evolution of what y'all have been providing. You said, like around 500 people are coming to the Mercadito, the market you were talking about. Do you have a sense of like how many folks that y'all serve and are a part of your work?
Certainly. I'll give you an example. Our basic family support services team, which is a total of 3 case managers that we have right now. We've grown over the last 10 years. When I came to Centro, we just had 1. But they screen about 3,000 community members that come. So when they arrive to Centro, there might be some programming, some services, some strategies that we provide that might be a good fit. But this is also the hub for connection with other partner organizations. That's something that has always made me very proud. Since I started at Centro, we prioritized that. So if you take into account screened, served, and everybody who engages and becomes part of this community, every year we're around 7,000 people or a little bit more. By and large, the majority are newcomers. So our hope is to stay with families to make sure they transition into the community and stabilize, and then we continue to open doors to new people that are coming in through the county.
Yeah, and you've been the executive director since 2013. And so I imagine you've seen a lot of change. You've mentioned several things that, you're really proud of. I do want to mention the Latino population in Wisconsin is the largest growing demographic in the state. According to the 2020 census, the amount of people who identify as Hispanic in Wisconsin has increased by 33% since 2010. So can you talk about how you've seen that change reflected in Madison and Dane County?
By and large, the largest majority of the group that's here in Dane County and in Wisconsin is of Mexican descent. But I'd say over the last 7 to 8 years, we've seen a tremendous amount of people that are coming and seeking immigration support. So that program has grown in response to the need. We see far more people from Venezuela, and that has actually been reflected in the staff that we've hired. We have more Venezuelan staff because it aligns with the needs that we're seeing in the people that want to get engaged. We have a lot more Central Americans in the area, Nicaragua, Honduras, and that's just part of how things are going in those countries of origin and what we're seeing abroad. Now with the new administration, that's going to shift immigration flows, and we're going to stay tuned to what happens with that. But it's very easy to come to Centro and actually see those changes in demographics, because it's literally when you come to the market and you run into 5 new people from Venezuela that you've never seen. And I remember we have a 3 Kings event where we give out toys to about, 400 families. So it's roughly around 3,000 individuals that come through the doors on that single day. And we had some new community members from Venezuela that came the day before, and they said, yes, we just arrived, but we actually want to volunteer for the event, because what we want is we want to have a place where there can be community building. So it's very, very apparent. And people are craving spaces where they can feel seen and heard and like they belong.
That's beautiful. And I wanted to ask about that. If you're seeing a growing community, are you seeing growth and connection? And it sounds like it.
Yeah. And For us at Centro, we're very interested in also documenting that through stories, as many testimonies as we can have, so we can capture that information about how the community is changing and evolving, not because that data is going to go to university or some other research, but because as an organization, we can document it and we can keep the data in community so that families that are coming here can really see their history reflected in how this organization is shaped and their voices are going to be heard. So right now, things like belonging, connectedness, dignity, wellness, we're actually trying to define those from the inside out to try to figure out what does that mean to families at this point in time? And can we continue to track that so we can see what kind of impact Centro has in the community that feels like this is their home?
You get to track your own stories and tell your own story.
Yes.
There's so much power in that.
Yes, especially at this point in time where the narrative feels like it's so out of our hands and so out of control, to figure out ways for an agency that's largely run and reflects the community that it works with to feel like they have that power to define who they are as human beings, not just like workers or, an immigration number, but as human beings that are trying to create dreams and a story here in a new state.
Remember that weird sound your furnace made last winter? The one you hoped wouldn't get worse? Hope's not a great heating strategy. Not in Wisconsin. By December, the phones ring nonstop, everyone's furnace decides to quit at the same time, emergency calls, big repair bills, long wait lists, all when your family needs heat most. Right now, Cardinal Heating is offering $1,000 off a new furnace and AC system, but only until October 31st. And there's up to $2,600 in federal rebates and tax credits you could qualify for, but those expire at the end of 2025. This isn't just a deal, it's peace of mind. When it's 5 degrees outside, you'll be warm and relaxed because you took care of it now. Visit cardinalservice.com and schedule your free estimate. The last good deal of the year is right now, before the cold, before the panic, before prices rise. It was a dark and stormy night, and you were caught on Hallows Eve without a costume. The horror! Are you ready for Halloween? You could buy something new, but why would you when you could get something spectacular and unique at a low cost at your local St. Vinny's? St. Vincent de Paul, Madison has it all. Halloween accessories, wigs, shoes, and more for your DIY costume. They've got Halloween costumes for the whole family, including kids and pets. And speaking from personal experience, I found incredible sequenced dresses, bespoke blazers, and dramatic fashion accents for costumes there. St. Vinny's is my go-to for finding an outfit item that's kind of tricky that I don't have for my costume. Plus, if you need any Halloween yard decorations, perhaps you have to haunt up a haunted house, they got you. By the way, while you're there, why not get a jumpstart on your holiday shopping? St. Vinny's gift cards make for the perfect present for any occasion. Go secure your costume. Head on over to Madison St. Vinny's today. Explore the wonders of science at the 15th Annual Wisconsin Science Festival, October 16th through the 26th. With over 200 events happening in more than 55 counties throughout Wisconsin, this statewide celebration brings science, technology, and art to all ages. It's a jam-packed 10 days of learning, ranging from interactive experiments to thought-provoking panels to the fusion of art and science. It kicks off on October 16th with the fan favorite, Science on the Square. On October 17th, it's time for laughs, where you can join for Sci-Prov, where science meets improv comedy. And if you like great shows, on October 21st, head to the Majestic Theater for the Y-Sci Variety Show for a fast-paced, fun-filled night of nerdy flash talks mixed with artful performance. And on Saturday, October 25th, be sure to check out the UW-Madison Campus Open House. Plus, throughout the Wisconsin Science Fest, you'll be able to join for their signature events like Crossroads of Ideas, Soundwaves, and Wisconsin Book Festival author events. There's truly something for everyone in every corner of Wisconsin. For more event details, visit wiscifest.org. Want to do your holiday shopping in the best way? AKA while having fun, not being rushed, and getting a healthy dose of autumnal charm? Step into fall at the Bruce Company's Autumn Artisan Fair on Saturday, October 25th from 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. Located at Bruce Company Garden Center at 2830 Parmenter Street in Middleton. You'll be able to spend a cozy afternoon in their greenhouse and atrium to find one-of-a-kind gifts, decor, treats, and fall-themed goods. The Bruce Company's Autumn Artisan Fair will have booths featuring 50 local makers and bakers offering unique handcrafted goods. We're talking treasures like fused art glass, handcrafted woodwork, jewelry, and candles, signed books from local authors, and delicious fare like homemade fudge, decorated cookies, and spices. It's dreamy, I know. There's truly something for everyone. So find out more and check out the whole vendor list at brucecompany.com. And be sure to follow Bruce Company on social media for any fair updates and vendor announcements. I recently interviewed the newly appointed Madison Police Chief, John Patterson, on our show, and he underscored the importance of police partnerships with community organizations like Centro. You know, that's a different narrative from what we're seeing with ICE agents or federal agents coming into communities, then they don't know the community. You know, when I spoke with him, he underscored that connection and that partnership. And we recognize you penned a letter of support for him on behalf of the Latino Consortium for Action. Can you talk about Centro's relationship with MPD and, you know, why you think Patterson is the right guy for the job? Like what are you seeing that's going right there?
JP is so special. He is just so special. I mean,
JP, he has look at that nickname. I didn't even know.
Yeah. You know, we met when he was Southside Captain. He was always comfortable being at Centro, not to hang out in gear and, you know, make the community feel comfortable with him, but to come in a T-shirt and help us plant our rain garden. You know, he would put like community dinners in the South Madison police station where you didn't feel like you were coming somewhere to be interacting with a system. You were just having a human connection in the space that just happens to be the South Madison Police Station. So then, you know, the idea came to create a mural that was painted by different community members that we were all interacting. The women that were involved in painting that mural are actually part of a cooperative in Madison called Roots for Change. They're doulas, they're midwives, some of them, but they emerged out of Centro, and whenever JP needed anything, they would always be there for him because we all understood that he would be there for us. Not because, you know, we need to have a relationship and in case of crisis, but because he's a real human being. You know, he's originally from Green Bay area, speaks Spanish, and it wasn't even the language thing, it's just the sense that he understood. We had our gala recently. He came in a suit and tie. He didn't come in a uniform or anything like that. And I think that's what makes him really unique is that he comes across as a human being in a very natural way. He doesn't let his job define him. That's part of who he is. And I think he's just always there for community in a very humble, authentic way. And most of us at Centro respect that because that's the way we approach the work. And trust comes along not that easily to many of us in the immigrant community, but when someone's not pushing trust and that, well, you need to trust us and we need to work together and how come you don't believe me? When it's just kind of a human connection, it makes us see the person for who they are. And of course, we'll support him in the work that he does because we understand that he gets us.
And it's so important. Like, this is the first time we've had you on the show, and we've been wanting to build sort of connections and bridge gaps. And in terms of how stories are told, you know, folks don't know this, but right before we hopped on this call, we asked you about a recent news story, you know, that we've seen make headlines in Madison, where 7 people were arrested by federal immigration and customs enforcement agents, aka ICE, over on the north side of East Madison. And it sounds like a lot of local outlets went and wrote about that. You all at Centro quickly posted an alert on social media, but can you tell us about that situation and your perspective on it?
Yeah, it took me back to the first time we had a Trump administration. We had a big issue with the media. Because what happens often in Madison is that there is a lack of understanding of who the Latinx community is as a community. Who we are, our backgrounds, what are we doing here, who we are as people. And so I thought that maybe things had gotten better, but in fact, they seem like it's pretty much the same. And I think it might have to do with the turnover that's happening in the industry right now. But back then and today, we are approached when there's a time of crisis. So when there is something sensational that needs to be talked about, we need to write a story rather than talking about the 7,000 plus family members that are here day in and day out that are trying to establish roots, who they are as people, how do they make the fabric of Wisconsin. We're sort of like a crisis piece, our humanity's taken away, or we are a fiesta hispana, some kind of like event that happens, a carnival, and so we're tokenized that way too. So that's generally how it is. And with what happened last week, it was similar. It was an incident that we actually posted a message on our Facebook page to clarify things because there were some rumors within the community that were taking it in another direction. And we felt like, well, it's important to clarify what this is. What I didn't understand is that the media who doesn't understand our community thinks that what we were clarifying is something unusual. So actually, incidents like what happened last week happen all the time here in Madison. ICE has been here since the last administration. There's always things going on that we, this organization that's in the community, Centro, handles day in and day out. Now, is it an operation? No. Was it a raid? No. Was it escalated procedures? No. It was a targeted incident, just like any other incident that has happened over the last, I don't know how many years. But there was a desire to make it out to be a sensational story that they could write about. And I think for me, what's often hurtful is when people reach out, the language that they use, the belief that we owe them that story, and their use of words that are very hurtful to our community, but they don't understand the mental health trauma that we often carry because of immigrant experience and how their use of this narrative can affect the fastest growing segment of the city, the county, and the state. These are people that are going to school. These are people that are working. And if you're going to talk about us that way, it means that you don't understand what Wisconsin is now and who Wisconsin's going to be over the next 10, 20 years, because it's going to change drastically. You go to any high school here in Madison and you see it right before your eyes. So that's the piece that is unfortunate and upsetting, that the education that I thought had happened many years ago still hasn't. And we will still have to deal with individuals reaching out and creating a crisis out of something that, unfortunately and quite sadly for our families, is something that they carry every single day.
Yeah. And it was kind of framed as, 7 people were arrested, and that hasn't happened since the last Trump administration. And you're laughing at that. And you're saying these are things that happen every day. So, I mean, we're grateful to have the opportunity for you to correct the record and make it clear that you're trying to get something to fit into a narrative that's not actually what's happening on the ground. And if there was more of a relationship built, that would be clearer. So the stories weren't, like that.
Yeah, I laugh almost out of disbelief because something other also that has happened is a lot of people come to Centro and they say, how can I help? Because this person that works with me, they might be in trouble or this might be going on. And there's a sense of disbelief that I see in them that makes me feel like they never knew our story that we've had all along. And that kind of hurts because I think when it becomes personal is when you all of a sudden start seeing it. And many of us have been seeing it for a long time, and we've been clamoring and advocating for more of everything from this community, even more data on this community, everything. And no one pays attention unless it's this crisis that we're dealing with right now. And unfortunately, so many in the community have been facing this for many, many years. So it's pretty laughable when people come frightened about this because we're strong enough and we're here to do what we need to do to be there for the community. And our hope is that everybody supports us in doing that, because while you're still understanding the issues for yourself, we've been doing it all along.
And I just want to say that I hold space for your pain and the pain of the community, and I feel it. I feel the frustration and, like when you're to the point where you have to laugh because it's just so disconnected. It's very heavy. And, how can folks in the Madison community better support this work you describe? You all are serving thousands of people every year, all the time. Like, how can Madison show up, the larger community, to support Centro's work?
There's a couple of steps. So we've been talking a lot about this. I think there's some self-work that people need to do. So before coming down to Centro and saying, oh my gosh, you got to help me because I feel very uncomfortable with this. I know you feel very uncomfortable with this, but you need to understand the situation, learn the history, Google Centro, read up on what's going on, what are the numbers, and then come to Centro and say, what can I do to make your job easier? Like, what in the world can I possibly do to make it easier? Don't expect to come to have an experience where you're going to grow in your knowledge to then feel like you have a better understanding. We're an organization that has a lot going on, and we seek partners and people that want to create action with us in a way that's very, very much on par with one another, where they're not telling us what to do and we're not like guiding everybody, but we're in the work together. And I think there needs to be some self-work that happens ahead of that. And that is not something that happens very regularly for us. I also think, we've created a lot of community engagement opportunities for this very reason. Another comment that I often get is like, oh, our family's going to be comfortable if I show up at the market, or if I'm on the South Side, are people going to feel comfortable with my presence? Well, I don't know. Are you comfortable with being there? I think we're comfortable. So that question comes up a lot. Like, if you feel that, you need to do some self-work before you show up trying to save us, because we really don't need to be saved. And then, once you're ready, come to the market and just be. Just understand that feeling, just talk to people, just get to know each other. And then from that, there's a lot that can emerge, a lot of ideas. If we do that with our own community members that are seeking services here at Centro, I know Greater Madison can come into the market and engage in the same way. But it's about really kind of relaxing into it and understanding that this is a time of crisis, but many of us have gone through it before and we're strong. We just need for you to be strong with us, not have us be something more that we have to carry.
Enough said. I'm going to leave it at that. Dr. Karen Menendez-Collar, thank you so much. This is just the first time we're having you on the show, and I appreciate you making the time to talk to me today, and thank you so much.
Thank you, Bianca. Thanks for having me.
That's Dr. Karen Menendez-Collar, Executive Director of Centro Hispano, Dane County. That's all for today, here on CityCast Madison. I'm your host, Bianca Martin. Don't forget, you can support the show and get great perks by becoming a CityCast Madison neighbor at membership.citycast.fm. A huge shout out to our newest neighbor, Jess H. Thank you so much for joining, Jess. If you value the show out there, y'all, why not share this episode with someone who cares about accurate coverage of their community? Alrighty, we'll be back tomorrow morning with more stories from around the city. Until then, take good care and thanks for listening.